Howdy, everybody. Welcome back to the Walking Dead podcast, talking about episode 10. It's called Them. And unless you guys want us to just talk about how much we hate this show at this point for 45 minutes, it's going to be a pretty quick episode. I'm Aaron. This is Pat and Riverman.
Howdy, folks.
Hey.
I don't know how much we can really dissect this episode. It was a bunch. I could rewrite it for you here in a second once we give our opinions. I know exactly how they should have done this episode.
They could just go back and listen to the past, 4 podcasts, and they can get a pretty good idea.
Look, no, I mean, it was 45-minute therapy sessions. And it was just like that dumb episode with, Eugene, him sabotaging the bus, them leaving for Washington, D.C., and then just so at the end we could build up to this moment where Abraham gets a little backstory and he beats the shit out of, Eugene, and they just turn back. It's like we had 48 minutes just to do that. They should have started this episode with Norman Reedus crying at the tree, and then that would have been plenty. Like, okay, we get it. He's mourning. Start the episode with Norman Reedus crying at the tree like a little woman and burning himself like an emo with a cigarette. And then right after that, have them find the stupid note saying, from a friend with the water. I get it. That's setting up our next antagonist with the wolves or whatever. Then have them find that note. Then I guess you could have had your dumbass tornado, whatever, just for effect. But then right after that, have them meet that Aaron guy and then just get right into it. 20 minutes into this episode, we should have been starting what we're going to see next week with introducing these wolves. That's my opinion. And we could have sped it up because we've only got 3 more episodes. So they're hardly going to be able to touch on that.
That's the scary part right there. 3 more episodes, and what the hell are they going to do in 3 episodes?
I just don't.
Not a lot from the looks of it.
The good thing about, we always bring up like Game of Thrones or whatever, like the season before the finale or the episode before the finale is always the best episode because they set it up and then they tie up loose ends in the last episode. I don't see that happening, so don't hold your breath.
No, it's the part that excuse me, really bugged me is I'm fine with an episode where, okay, we need to reevaluate the situation and what we're in. We didn't really have time to do that in the past episode. Obviously, it being back from the break, it kind of gives you a little more rushed sense of time, like why the fuck isn't anything happening? So I kind of tried to take a step back in that context. My problem is the cheap pops and just the pure idiocy and coincidences yet again that riddled this stupid show. Obviously we talked about a little bit, but the fact that the trees from the storm that happened just miraculously killed all the zombies. And the thing of it is, it didn't look like a bunch of trees got uprooted. It looks like that fucking entire area besides the barn that they're in took mortar fire. It didn't look like a storm blew through. The entire thing is just decimated except for the stupid barn that they're in. So does this did the whole thing even happen? Who was the one who decided that, okay, let's go back to sleep? Like, what? It's asinine with this stuff anymore. I don't care. Give me a slow episode where everybody's just kind of bumming and stuff like that. Just don't insult my intelligence with this just implied divine intervention that I'm just supposed to take away from this. It's just idiotic.
Has anybody else noticed too? It was everybody
Well
was
said,
mourning.
Pat, well said.
It was very, very well said. And by the way, I think we both owe you money because you called it. This was nothing but The Lord of the Rings with a storm mixed in for good measure.
We're walking around. And it looks like it in the next one, too. But
not only were we walking around, everybody was walking around with the same dilemma, coincidentally. I get it. Sasha lost somebody. Maggie's lost somebody. Daryl's lost somebody. It's just everybody's dealing with it at the same time. Is there some crazy rule in the Walking Dead universe that only one pair of people could be in conversation at one time? Have you noticed that? Because they were all walking down the street, and you've got half the episode, little Chris doesn't say a damn thing but one thing. You got Eugene just looking like a silent idiot in the background. You got just Chris as a decorative piece. And you got all
meanwhile, Carl's going to be 20 years old by the time we're done with this.
Carl said his first thing. He said his first thing all season, which I'm not, destroying that. I mean, that's fine with me, but it's just really weird. You finally have the whole group together, and then you got 2 people up front, whether it be Michonne and Sasha, or and they're having their therapy session. It wasn't your fault. You gotta keep going. Everybody else is just silent. They're having their monologue up there. It'll be my time in 3 scenes, and then we'll have our monologue. It just sounds so hokey dokey and fake. Is nobody wanting to shoot the shit back there? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. You run out of things to talk to in the zombie apocalypse when you're just spending night and day with these people, but you can't just, can we listen to something else other than their deepest conversations? Like, do they not smile at all? And again, I understand that we're fresh off from losing these people, and we're still kind of figuring out how to, deal with these deaths and stuff like that. But I thought we'd been walking here for a couple days, couple weeks, maybe. We're up in Virginia. We're 60 miles away from DC. So we're just now starting to come to terms. I don't know. I just this show drives me nuts anymore.
And to me, it seems like this episode just gave away who's going to die next. I believe it is going to be Sasha. Because, they're setting her up. She's going down the same road her brother did.
Recluse, yeah.
She's going to go over the handle, and she's going to die. And nobody cares because she's a shit character. Sorry.
And how about the sham symbolism of everybody's just going through it's so goddamn hot in the whole episode, and then it couldn't get any worse. And then here come these fucking dogs out of nowhere, which we've never encountered domesticated or wild animals basically on this entire fucking show. And then all of a sudden Eugene gets that out of his mouth, and then boom, wild dogs. Although kudos to Sasha though for just straight up murdering them without even batting an eye.
Speaking of the wolves, it should be noted that, there was a comment on our last episode breaking down, of course, all the stuff that we didn't quite get and mentioning the wolves. Clearly, there was knowledge about the graphic. Clearly, there was knowledge of the graphic novel, and that's the whole thing. But basically, they called it, saying, you know what, they're going to come across these guys called the wolves that had some. We had questions about those signs. Mm-hmm. And the bodies and stuff like that from the last episode. Mm-hmm. I guess that was all pointing signs towards this group called the Wolves. And they call themselves the Wolves, and they've trained these feral dog wolves to do like their bidding, but they're also this group. I don't know what they are, but they called it because that Aaron guy is one of the wolves. And of course, just like every other antagonist, he's got a smile on his face. He's a friend. He's not really going to be a friend or whatever.
Another hipster cannibal.
That I'm telling you, that's what's going to push me over the edges. If this next episode, if they get taken in by the kindness of strangers again, and oh shit, they done had us, and somebody dies or something horrible happens to somebody, and all you want to scream at the television is "I told you so." I just can't do it anymore. Mm-hmm. It'll be even dumber than the hammering home of the symbolic washing away of all our problems with the rain that came eventually in the middle of this episode. I can't even begin to elaborate how much.
Do you know who I think should die? I think Michonne should die because she started out as this incredible heroine and like, hey, she's gonna stick around. She's going the distance to a character they've pretty much wasted season 4 and 5.
She's pretty soft now too. So.
She's nothing. She doesn't even hardly make a peep sometimes. They can't make up their mind who's the voice of reason and who's the recluse at times. And right now, she's just this mellow voice of reason. And I forget she's on the show. I really forget she's on the show sometimes. And most people, minus Andrew Lincoln and Norman Reedus and Stephen Yun, I guess Maggie. Everybody else lasts no more than 3 seasons. That's why Sasha's time is up. That's why her brother's time was up. And, what's her face? Michonne. This is her 3rd season. They don't want to keep anybody around longer than that.
Do we kill Tara and or Rosalita before we kill Michonne?
God, I hope so. I hope they keep Seamus, though, because Seamus is the comedy relief, I think.
I don't think they're going to keep... I think... It's not like they're going to wipe all, because I look at it like this. There's 3 tiers. You have your A characters, your B characters, and your C characters. We know who the A characters are. Your B characters, to me, is Michonne at this point. Sasha and Tyrese are B characters. Your C characters were Bob, the lesbian, I forgot her name. Those are your Rosalitas. Those are your C characters, and yeah, those are going to be easy to dispose of. But I think that they have to get rid of a B character because they always get rid of a B character after 3 seasons. And these people like Rosalita and the other chick, they're still new. Like, they could totally have the Beth syndrome where it's like, they were nothing. They were wallflowers. We killed off a couple of B characters. They can move into B status. I don't know, but they're all useless at this point.
But how are they going to do the spinoff without them?
The spinoff is a prequel.
Oh,
it's
it's a
about
prequel?
it's called Cobalt. I'm sure we'll get the context of that when you actually hear the story.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't sound anything like a zombie show, but it's about the outbreak itself. So
It'll be
obviously,
half as boring as this because there'll be actually people in the storyline and
yeah. Well, and yeah, so nobody. I'm sure they don't want to even blurb about what that story's about because it'll give away the ending of this series, no doubt, obviously. But speaking of these characters not meaning anything anymore, isn't it? It's just funny. Like, I just people are so they're able to consolidate their feelings on. There's so much shit going on at one time. It's like 3 episodes ago, it was all about. Last time Eugene was on screen, it was all about Eugene. You know, he's this liar. He got the shit kicked out of him, and now no one cares about Eugene anymore. It's like, I get it. We got to focus on them dealing with the loss of Beth, but is nobody? Abraham didn't know Beth. Didn't know her from Eve. Isn't he still pissed at Abraham? Isn't Abraham still isn't Eugene still self-loathing? I mean, everybody forgets about shit in this universe. I don't know.
it just kind of storylines just kind of die off, and you're just supposed to just kind of, oh, okay, we're not going to talk about that today, and then and when it just miraculously randomly comes up in another episode, then you're like, oh, okay, we're dealing with that today, alrighty. And then I guess we'll wait for something else to happen, which it won't. So
that's what you get when you get 10 writers doing 10 different things.
Again, compared to Game of Thrones, it's monkeys with typewriters.
I don't know who's to blame. I mean, yeah, we get mad and say, these writers are making more than all of us combined times 10. But it's the showrunners, the producers, kind of pulling the strings too. You have to give them a little credit. They want to milk this out.
How much longer did they say? How many seasons?
Well, I think it's definitely got a season 6, obviously.
It's signed up, I thought, for 7.
Oh, God.
7? Fucking 7? We said 3 years ago, I called it 5 is perfect.
I said
5's
4.
good. Oh, no, 5 is rounded. It's not overstaying your welcome. I was angry when they said 6, but I'm like, all right, gritting my teeth. 7, how could you do this?
I may be mistaken, but I know I've seen 6 with the option of 7 is what I thought I saw.
Well, I mean, with them already kind of talking about Cobalt's already got its cast rounding out. They've already announced cast members, and obviously, I thought maybe 6 was okay. That's about a year of promo and prep and stuff. If it's 7, kill me. I don't know if we can do this podcast for 7 seasons. I'm the guy. I'm a completionist. I like to finish what we start, and I'm still all about that. And when I heard the news of 6, I'm like, you know what? We're still going to do this, damn it. But 7, that's testing my morals on the topic. I don't know.
I may be mistaken, but that is.
Andrew Lincoln has to do this now because he's pretty much typecast now. So he has.
Oh, well, no. I mean,
He can go be in a bunch of Jane Austen PBS specials and another Love Actually movie if he wanted to.
Both Andrew Lincoln and Norman Reedus, I mean, they're not stupid. They got their publicists and their management and all that shit working behind the scenes. They're not allowed to do anything else while The Walking Dead's running because they don't know that much about the story.
No, there's going to be a third Boondock Saints supposedly.
Oh,
well, besides that, yeah. God, that's not the right move for his career. He's trying to. He's got a candle.
He's bigger than that, man.
Well, he needs to really capitalize. They need to have movies out of the gate. Like as soon as The Walking Dead ends, they need to have work lined up, and they really need to. I mean, if they don't capitalize on it, Norman Reedus is just going to be a con guy in 10 years. He's going to be a pop cultural reference.
He'll have guest spots on Law and Order SVU.
Yeah, stuff. Dave Coulier as a rapist and all this stuff. Yeah, it's really.
The episode with the dad from the guy from Seventh Heaven was on the other night. I was
really?
Yeah, was a weird
was he a pedophile? Like, was it
No. I think he was like a rich guy whose son they thought killed somebody when really it was the son's girlfriend who did it. But yeah, whatever.
I've seen all those episodes. That's the most. You know what? That's the most formulaic show I've ever seen in my life. But I'll take it over this shit. I'll take a little formula. Give me a little formula in the Walking Dead universe.
Yeah, give me the first 10 seasons of SVU. I'll put it up against just every episode of The Walking Dead ever. It's just ridiculous.
Fine. The episode starts out. Rick finds Carl's body in the woods. Somebody's raped him. There's been penetration. And then give me that. Dun, dun. Yeah, exactly. And then you got John Stamos showing up out of the middle of nowhere, and he's clearly the villain. It's like Scooby-Doo. It's the first weird-ass celebrity you see. Well, it's clearly this guy. Clearly this ex-TGIF alumni.
We need drops on this show.
I know. I'm looking into that. So.
But But anyway, to kind of round out this episode, I think we've given it too much of our time already. We've given it 15 minutes, and I'm fucking ashamed of it. But am I wrong for the way I lined it up? Is that not an all right way of pacing this episode? I mean, do you think? I think they should have started with Norma Reedus crying at the tree. That is enough. That gets the point across. Maybe a little bit of moping from Maggie and call it good. And then, like I said, 20 minutes in, we could have already introduced Aaron, and we could have, the last 30 minutes, we could have had the wolf thing spread,
I really don't think it would have made a difference to me.
I kind of agree with you in the sense that a little bit of different approach to the pacing and maybe a little bit different approach. Again, I kind of, that you touched on the fact that every conversation has to be had in two. And that's more of like kind of a recent phenomenon I've noticed on the show where there's just a lot more, it seems like, private conversations and stuff like that. I think that, it could have lent itself, but even then still, I don't mind if an episode is slow, only full of dialogue, doesn't move the story too terribly much. If you give me some legitimate character development and the happenstances that do occur aren't just full of silliness and coincidences and just what seems to be just lazy writing. Like I said, the storm not destroying the barn is absolutely egregious in my eyes. Again, the rain was just dumb, just washing away all these terrible things, and how just this whole second season they're just beating you to death with the symbolism, and I think it just harkens back again to the lowest common denominator and how much money can we make out of this.
How many more generic antagonists can we possibly get?
And that too. Just from watching,
you guys all look like fucking Gap models, and you're coming out of the woods to like nowhere.
Right? How are you? How can you get that close of a shave? Look at Rick. I mean, Christ.
I'd rather go back to the biker gang. I mean, that would.
Oh, they were the best, and they were so short-lived. And that arc was honestly awesome. The whole Daryl getting separated, him getting taken in by where he belongs kind of naturally.
Yeah.
It didn't last very long, which was kind of good and bad. They could have made something cool out of that, but I'm kind of glad it sped up. And then they were gone like nothing, and then we were focused on Terminus. But we ended with that awesome, hey, we're gonna rape Carl, and then Rick's gonna bite the jugular out. Hands down, the best little mini arc, and it's like they take the shittiest arcs and they spread them across the whole half season, and I don't understand it.
So then where do we go with predictions from here? I can't see them doing another, like I said, getting pulled in by the kindness of strangers. We can't do that again. It just can't be done.
I'll give it the benefit. I don't think they're going to do that. God, they got to listen to Rick at some point. And the last time, once again, we got away, Rick. He's like, let's go back and kill him.
Murder everybody.
Yeah, let's go murder everybody. No, let's do it. Look, it's about time for them to be like, look, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's got to look at him at some point and say, look, I'm not the guy that say I told you so, but you guys have not taken my advice the last few times, and people end up dead. I don't think they'll because they were already suspicious of the water, for God's sakes.
Mm-hmm.
Friggin' Abraham bitch slapped that water out of
that was funny.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. Like quality assurance.
Giving a man shit for drinking.
I would have let Eugene drink it.
Drinking whiskey. That's not going to do you any good.
But so I
don't
just
tell me my business.
I just hope. I don't think. By the previews for the next episode. I know they're only previews, but it obviously everything's going to look great compared to this episode. It looks way better than this episode, at least. Hopefully it gets right to the violence, because they've been relatively good about speeding up these. Yeah, the bikers were awesome, but man, they were in like Flint. We got straight to the violence, the biting up the jugulars. Like I said, give or take, I'm good and bad on that. Even the Terminus thing. Man, once they got out of Terminus, that wrapped up real quick, and they were kamikaze fucking assassinating him in that church. Great. Give me more of that. Give me the wolves. Give me a big setup thing in this next episode. And by the second or last episode of the season, please just slaughter them all.
What's going to happen. Somebody's going to get captured. I think it's going to be the preacher man or somebody.
We never even talked about fucking Father Gabriel. By the way, okay, this guy can't make up his mind. His complete faith is shattered when he's talking to Maggie for half a second. Don't forget that happened. He throws his
collar,
burns his collar in the fire. But then he's literally 5 minutes later. Forgive me, oh Lord. I don't understand his character. I don't understand his character. I don't get it. I don't know why he's there. Nobody talks to him. He's clearly like the loser, the kid in school that everybody gets up from the lunch table when he sits down. Who has had a 30-second conversation even with him on this show? Nobody. Nobody wants to deal with this guy. I don't know. I don't know. I just can't take him anymore.
Do we go into season 6 with this current story unresolved?
Yes.
Oh,
Somebody's going to be captured. And they're going to be coming after him.
I think chances are, I mean, I don't know. I think the chances are that it will, but I'm really hoping that, like the Terminus thing and like the bikers, they wrap it up real quick because they've introduced the Aaron guy. We got 2 or 3 more episodes left.
3, I think.
Wait, there's gonna be isn't there? This will be episode 11. There's 16. There's 8 each half season. We got a lot left.
You sure about that?
Yeah, it just started. There's 8 each half season, so we got quite a bit left. We should have like 4 left. That is enough to wrap it up, in my opinion. That's as fast as they've been going. So hopefully they do. I think they will. That'll be my bet that they'll wrap it up. And just hopefully next season we don't have any more, like Pat, you were saying, any of this stupid symbolism. What's the whole Norman Reedus? Oh, burning himself with a cigarette. I get it. He wants to see if he can still feel. Fuck me. Do I have any feelings left?
You're right. It is 16 episodes.
Yeah, we got 6 more.
Jesus Christ. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So, but like I said, if they do not wrap, they will wrap it up. They will wrap up the Wolves arc, which I'm fine with that. Just get me to the violence. Wrap it up in 2 episodes, whatever. You know, they've not given any antagonist arc any sort of development or time since the governor. The governor got all this time, and then everybody else is kind of.
The governor was great, man.
Yeah, he was good. He started wearing his welcome a little bit, but he was actually a very interesting character. But yeah, you don't care about Gareth or whoever, any of these other guys.
Or the girl cop, got her head blown off.
Yeah, you already forgot about that. But whatever. My prediction is that I don't know. I just think we're going to get knee deep into the wolves. They're going to find out who they are. I don't think they're going to be gullible. Like, oh yeah, we're going to take your kindness. I think that showed us that with the whole water thing, bitch slapping it out of Eugene's mouth. And I don't think we're going to.
That was the best part of the episode.
somebody might get captured, maybe, but I don't think they're going to be gone. I think all of it will be resolved by the last episode. So if somebody gets captured, I don't think they're going to be going far. But as far as this Aaron guy. Where he's going to take them and all that stuff, I have no idea. I mean,
looks like the most non-threatening person on the show.
They all do. They're all Abercrombie models.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. They're like you said. What'd you call them? Hipsters. Like they all look like fucking vegetarians. I don't know.
Fuck vegetarians.
Instead of going to Bass Pro Shops, they raided the outdoor section at their nearest Hollister.
I know. That you'd think it would be quite a different demographic going on here.
Jesus Christ. Do I need survival gear from Cabela's? Nope, fuck that. Gotta look seasonal in these sweet boots from Ralph Lauren.
And they gotta have the perfect facial hair.
Yeah.
I mean, what besides that, I mean, speaking of the vegetarian and the way they look, I'm sorry, Eugene would be skinny as shit. These people are not eating. Yeah. They're not. They're walking nonstop. They're walking.
And that baby would be dead as shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're okay. The baby. Don't get me started on that. I don't know what. Maybe she'll serve a purpose somewhere. I don't know.
They're not killing a baby off.
I'm sorry, Abraham, especially Eugene. My God, they're walking all day long. They're not eating that much. They would be all fit. They'd all look like Sasha. They'd all be lean.
Yeah, they'd all be emaciated, especially from not drinking water.
Rick looks like it. Rick looks the part. Rick looks really skinny. He's got that beard. It makes him look extra skinny in the face because he's got that huge beard.
He does look like Andrew Lincoln does look like he's actually dropped some weight too from. So
because he's a British guy and he's a true actor. He's like, I'm a method actor. I'm getting in this role. I get it. And then you know what? Who else is it that drives you crazy? Like you pointed out last season, this season, Tyrese only got fatter. You explained that. And you noticed it, and I don't notice this stuff, but I started looking at pictures from season 2 and then season 3, and when he died, they started showing up everywhere. He put on like 30 pounds. It was insane.
At least.
He was because he had no visible gut when he was in Woodbury. He didn't. Yep. He was not really fat at all. He was not. But now he's got this huge ass gut hanging out. He had this big. I guess he's a big guy with a beard. We can just get away with it. No one will notice. But yeah, it's ridiculous.
I went. He was on the show The Wire too, just like Bob was. And I went back and I was watching a couple episodes of it. I barely even recognized him. Because he's gotten so much fatter since then. So
I mean, maybe that's why they killed him off. It's like we're paying all this money. You can't keep characters.
Lay off the goddamn craft service table.
But anyway, I guess we can go right into ratings. We've given this episode less than 20 minutes. And like I said, it's too much of our damn time. And, Riverman, not to kind of pre-cut you off, you were already kind of, when you watched the episode yesterday, you kind of already told us what your score was. I've got half a mind to give it the same damn thing because it's hard not to give this episode a 0 out of 10 because it was pointless. It should have been non-existent, and I'm tired of it. I mean, it's one of those things, Pat, I don't mind character development. Like you said, we could have these episodes where we're walking around, but it's just like the bus episode. I don't mind the last 5 minutes when there's a little development in Abraham. I minded the 40 minutes leading up to it. It's absolutely stupid, and I can't think of any redeeming qualities about this episode. I honestly can't. I fell asleep the first time ever. I know you say you do this all the time, River. I dozed off.
I was watching The Bachelor with my wife. I was flipping back and forth, so that tells you something, right?
It was just pointless. And like I said, I've already made it clear how they should have edited this episode, and we could have wrapped this entire episode up in 15 minutes, and we could have already been through the meat. See, we could have condensed about 2 episodes. That tells you, and we could have got all the point across. We could have condensed the next week's and this week's in one, and it would have been fantastic.
Be at home in time for cornflakes.
Exactly, and it's wasting my time as a viewer. It's wasting everybody else's time. It's dragging it out. So I'm going to give it a 0, and I'm stealing your thunder, River, because I know you're giving it a 0.
You took the words out of my mouth. I'm giving it a 0. It's just crap, boring,
it's pointless. It's non-existent. It's like. It's not like give me a shitty episode where somebody is jumping sharks like the Fonz over this. Give me a shitty episode where I just want to pick it apart. Don't give me an episode that bores me and just shouldn't have existed. I mean, I'd love to talk about Norman Reedus jumping a jet ski over a bunch of zombies.
That'd be that's entertainment, folks.
I know. Give me that. But Pat, what are you going to give it, man? You
it's a goose egg for me too. It's a 0 out of 10. It's just
pointless.
I mean, even putting in the fact that we introduced a new character, and again, even kind of taking a step back, objectively looking at the time that we've had in between episodes and not being too much of a dick demanding that we have action all the time. It's just poor, lazy, cop-out writing, and just the fact that the conversations had by these people, again, almost borderline insult my intelligence. So
how can they not find a fucking car?
How can they not find anything? I mean, I understand that, they
had keys to a car, but I don't know if they had gas in it. But still, you gotta find somewhere.
We found other vehicles already so far, so we're this far along that okay. We're going to find some vehicles that do still have gas in them. I don't think realistically you would.
How good would that gas be?
Well, that and gas evaporates faster than water in most instances. So, 90% of the vehicles that they would come across would be gone anyways. We've been doing this for 4 years now?
Not for ones on Mr. Fusion.
Maybe they found a hybrid to like plug into the wall or something.
Or zombie parts in there.
Or maybe they cut some potatoes and put it in water to get a charge out of it to plug their electric car.
I'm sure Aaron from he'll have something. The new hipster guy.
This guy doesn't deserve my name. We're gonna call him something else. I mean, because I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. It's gonna be really confusing. Like, who is Aaron referring to as Aaron? This is confusing. Is he referring to himself?
What the fuck was that Aaron guy talking about? What are you talking? I'm not saying that.
Is he referring to himself in the third person? I'm gonna start referring to myself in the third person. But we forgot to mention it. God dang it, the stupid zombie in the trunk. I didn't get that symbolism, but it's all stupid.
Actually, I kind of thought I liked that a lot. Because that is something that would have happened. Whether it be now, is that something from the wolves or was that a person who was there to begin with? Even then, still, if it was a person who was there to begin with, there would have been, during the zombie apocalypses, they always say that there's a certain number of serial killers operating within the U.S., so there could be a good chance that actually, happened.
It wasn't the actual thing in the trunk, but what was Maggie's distress over it? Like, oh, I can't kill it.
Maybe Maggie thought, again, like I said, that it was somebody
Somebody's sister? I don't know.
Or just somebody who that's how they died, and that was just at the moment that was just a little too much for her to bear, so she just closed it. And then she had her second thoughts to reopen it, but she couldn't do it with the keys, or she was having a panic attack or some shit. But that part of the episode I didn't really mind, and I thought it was, if there was any highlights in this episode, that would be one of them.
Okay, last thing, my only highlight of the show, which was horrible. Well, it's not really a highlight, but when they said the corny line about "We are the Walking Dead," they could have just looked at the camera. I know.
Yeah, they do a Pee Wee Herman
Break
page.
the third
Mr.
wall.
Herman, look at the camera.
That's kind of been out there for a while, though, hasn't it? That the title refers to the survivors.
I could have swore there was one other episode, like in the second or third season, where they already said that sort of thing, but. I didn't mind the context of that. I mean, it's kind of on the nose. It's kind of a broad term, and I get it.
I still want to know which one of them decided, hey, all the zombies are gone. We're not going to check where they went, but we can get off the door now and I'll go to bed.
Yeah. Well, let's write in an angry letter. I mean, we'll tweet Chris Hardwick if anything, and he can get the message across.
Let's send him this podcast.
No, he's not, because he's too busy licking every cast member's balls.
That's true.
I just don't. So, bottom line, episode done. I just think that they need to quit insulting the fan base that has made this the number one show on cable, at least for now, if it still is, by thinking that they deserve, they deserve a good episode, the first episode of the season, the last episode of the season, but we are giving them shit for everything in between. I mean, it's insulting, like you said, and just everything about it's insulting. So I don't know. I'm done with it. All you guys, bring it. Tell us what you think. This is stupid. We can't be crazy. We've been in the situation before as far as comments and feedback where there was episodes where I know we're not in the minority, but yet we get flamed as far as like, you guys are on crazy. This episode was amazing.
Flame on.
The last episode that it makes me think of is you remember that sleeper, the whole Beth getting drunk with Daryl, that whole stupid episode. That was one where we trashed it and people still liked it, and I don't understand. Like, oh, it's a great episode. It meant some. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I don't understand it.
That's because they like those characters. There's no other. There's no other reason. There's no real reason to like that fucking episode. Period. And everybody I know who watches this show who doesn't have like this fangirl obsession with one or more characters refers to that episode as just a that's the litmus test of a turd for an episode for this show.
And it's just all it's just the fangirls, the Norman Reedus fangirls, that whole scene where he's burning himself with a cigarette and he's crying. That's making somebody's heart melt and ovaries explode right now. Like, oh, he's got feelings.
He can relate to me. I do the same thing.
Oh,
I'm surprised we haven't heard more comeuppance about the fact that Norman Reedus has had like 5 lines this entire season.
It's absolutely ridiculous. But let us know what you think about it. I mean, hopefully we're not the only ones out there. This is a BTM review record. This is the first episode where it's gotten complete goose eggs. It's I guess that officially makes it the worst episode ever. I don't know if it really is, but I'm just pissed and tired of it.
I don't think it's necessarily the worst season ever.
Where we're at in context,
it's the most directionless season ever, and I think it's the season that I'd say it's the most divisive. Which, as far as when it comes to us, we either totally dig episodes or we just completely hate them. Like, there really isn't apathetic and I mean, there have been a couple, I guess, apathetic indifferences towards some of the episodes, but I think more than any of the other seasons, the spectrum has been more severe.
Absolutely. I've told people, go back in archives that want to just call us a bunch of people hating on a show, wasting our time talking about it. Go back to the season 2 and season 3. They were divided. Me and River never agreed on anything.
And if you hate us, why the fuck are you still listening?
No, I mean, I'm not saying there's people that are kind and not. I'm not trying to act like, we're being picked on. I'm just saying I don't understand some people's points of view. It's just the whole thing of, I know it sounds like we're all hating it, but it's the quality of the show that's to blame. Like I said, if you feel so inclined, go back to season 3 stuff or 2 stuff, and it's very fair. And I was more definitely in favor of a lot of things.
You were pro. Yeah, you were really
I was definitely pro. I was looking on the positive side of things. And now the fact that the playing field is leveled and that line is blurred, that is not our fault. I'm sorry the show is overstaying its welcome, but
We think you can do better, folks, and that's all there is to it.
Yeah, it's like, if we're going to do this podcast, do I want the next episode to be amazing? Of course I do. I don't want to waste my time. I'd love for the next episode to be incredible. I'd love for it to pick up. I'd love for them to end on a high note, have an incredible season 6, which I think is possible because they continuously change showrunners, because there's still always the chance of that. So, I mean, that's all I got to say about it. I mean, everybody chime in, do it on the YouTube channel. Go to Facebook, do it there, BTM Review, and go to the website. Go on the website, chime in and all that stuff. Check out the old podcasts, like I said. Go on iTunes, check out all the old podcasts. And if you feel so inclined, on YouTube and on btmreview.com, we've got some interviews with some of the cast members from some of the seasons that meant a damn. Go back and check out some of those stuff. But anyway, feedback's appreciated. We appreciate people listening. And yeah, I don't know. That's all I got. I'll see you guys next week, and hopefully we're all alive and nobody slit our wrists, and
I'll be burning myself with a cigarette in the eye.
Yeah, God. You'll find me out by the tree, by the old oak, with cigarette burns in my arm. I don't know. That's it. Everybody, adios. Thank you.
Good night, Canada.